In today's video, I'm going to recount a personal story filled with heartbreak, deception, and unexpected revelations. Join me as I expose hidden facts about an unfaithful partner and see how destiny, in its mysterious ways, took its revenge. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with this enthralling story. Let's get into it. My wife had been working on her unique project for the past 4 months. It wasn't solely her project, but she was the lead and responsible for its success. The project's goal was to save her company, Bixler Enterprises. These last 4 months had been tough, requiring her to put in a lot of effort. It was vital for her and the company's survival. There was a substantial risk that Bixler Enterprises would fail if the project wasn't completed. Sarah held a bachelor's degree from Albright and an MBA from Wharton. She was the smartest person in our family. I started working as an auto mechanic right after high school, and 21 years later, I was still doing the same job. I didn't mind because I loved my work and it paid well enough. It was enough to finance Sarah's education and raise our 2 kids. We weren't living in luxury, but we were comfortable. The kids had moved out, and our financial situation was quite stable. Sarah got pregnant 3 months after we married at 18. For the first years of our marriage, we lived with my parents. They had a big, empty house after my siblings moved out. This provided us with a caretaker. While Sarah went through her initial college years, due to 2 pregnancies, her 4-year degree took 6 years to complete. It was hard, but she made it through. I always had a job and never lacked overtime when needed. After Sarah's graduation from Wharton, we rented our place. She got job offers from several large companies, but all of them involved moving. I was willing to relocate, but Sarah wanted to stay close to our hometown. That's why she chose Bixler Enterprises. It offered a decent salary, but more importantly, it gave her responsibilities and opportunities for growth. Sarah was hard-working and committed. The presentation is set for Thursday at the Raisin Hotel in Philadelphia. I took a few days off to support her as needed. In the end, all I did was cook some meals for her when she got home. I didn't know much about her job, nor did I care to. Corporate business bored me. Executives from Europe, Asia, and South America were visiting. The company paid for their travel and accommodations at the Raisin Hotel while they were here. It was very expensive, and according to some comments from Sarah, the company might have been overstating its financial situation. Her presentation was critical for her, the company, and for over 200 employees. Everything was going smoothly until Tuesday night. Sarah came home in a new outfit, a grey suit with a white blouse, and laid out everything she needed in our guest room. When it came to housekeeping, she was average, but she was meticulous about her work. I didn't understand why she had to pick out her fancy lingerie, but I kept quiet. Besides her suit for the presentation, she also packed several stylish cocktail dresses for the social events before and after the presentation. I usually avoided these events but felt I should join her if she wanted. She was grateful for the offer but said it wasn't necessary. All the materials and equipment she needed were carefully loaded into the trunk of her Volvo before she left for work. She drove herself to ensure everything was perfectly arranged. She had all day Wednesday to prepare and all evening to socialize with her guests. Sarah was so capable in her role that I thought maybe I should have just stayed out of it. In the end, she was ready. She had double-checked everything, and now all she wanted was a relaxing shower and a good night's sleep. In trying to be helpful, I accidentally went through her things while Sarah was in the shower. As I was arranging items on the bed, a small white envelope slipped out from the side pocket of her makeup bag. It was from a pharmacy, but not our usual one. Inside, I found 10 tablets labeled Preven, a drug unfamiliar to me, along with confusing instructions: consume 1 pill and, if necessary, another after 12 hours. At first, I speculated it might be related to anxiety or stress, yet the ambiguous guidance raised more uncertainties. Adding to the mystery, the prescription had her name on it and was dated a Monday. I put the envelope back just as she was finishing her shower. I decided to investigate Preven before bringing it up with her. Clearly, mentioning it would expose my snooping through her things. I despise such predicaments. As Sarah was getting ready for bed, I Googled Preven on our household computer. 10 minutes later, I joined her in bed. I lay awake all night, puzzled over why she would need a prescription for the morning after pill. especially since I had a vasectomy a decade ago. The next morning I rose early, feeling unrested. I took a lengthy walk to clear my mind. With hesitation, I returned home, dreading my next actions or words. Our son Josh had joined the Navy after high school and was now in his first year in San Diego. Our daughter Gloria had tied the knot with her childhood love last year and had moved to Dallas. It was just Sarah and me at home. I missed our kids, but looked forward to growing old with my wife, the only woman I had ever loved, yet now all seemed unsure. If Sarah was having an affair, she hid it well. I had never tracked her or looked at her emails or calls. I trusted her completely. "John, where have you been? Do you want some eggs or anything?" "Just coffee." I was not very talkative. "What's wrong, dear? It's just for 3 days. You can join, but it might be dull for you." "No, I prefer not to go, but I'm anxious about you being alone. I worry when you're gone. It's really sweet, darling, but don't fret. I won't leave the hotel at all during this trip. Most of today will be spent prepping the conference room, and tonight, I'll engage in discussions with potential clients. Tomorrow, I expect to be fully booked. I'll head back as soon as possible on Friday, promising a delightful weekend. All clear." That reassured me, but I remained concerned about your focus on your career instead of our family life. "Enough, damn it, John. I've always respected your career and never suggested otherwise. You've brought up 2 great children and supported my studies. You're an excellent husband, a wonderful father, and a dependable provider, never doubt that." I sipped my coffee while she cleaned the table. "Should I call you?" "No, better not. I'm turning off my mobile and room phones tonight for some peace. I'll call when possible." I helped her load the car. She was as thorough with this as with her job. It would take her 3 hours to reach the rate hotel. I watched her drive off from our porch. I didn't mention the pills. I spent the remainder of the morning on the porch, feeling more troubled than ever. I felt overlooked and inferior. I was a small-town guy with a modest career and a successful wife. We were an ill match, a reality I should have acknowledged earlier. I felt stupid. My best attire was a blue blazer and trousers. I owned a few old ties. Just as I had dressed, the landline rang. "Hey, darling, just letting you know I've arrived safely. Was your drive smooth? I guess traffic was light." "It was okay. I'll call you tonight. I have to go now. I'm in room 714. Sarah, I could stay at my parents' or my brother's tonight if you need to contact me on my cell." The mobile rang. "I love you. Got to go." I leisurely made my way to Philadelphia. I didn't rush to my primary objective. Initially, I stopped to savor a steak and cheese sandwich, anticipating a long evening ahead. Uncertain of my intentions, I parked in the hotel garage and just waited. Eventually, I knew I had to enter the hotel, but I hesitated on the timing. The call on my mobile helped me decide. "John, I just wanted to let you know everything is ready. I'm heading downstairs now to socialize and have dinner. Did you forget anything?" "No, all is well. I've prepared everything in my room for tomorrow. Do you need anything?" "No, John, take it easy. I'm turning off my phone now. I'll call you in the morning. Enjoy your night." This isn't for enjoyment, John. It's purely business. I didn't feel out of place. The lobby, restaurant, and conference areas were lively, allowing me to merge seamlessly into the background. An engaging brochure provided a layout of all the hotel rooms. I toured several rooms, stopping by the walls to watch the participants. I was unsure about what to do if Sarah noticed me. That scenario would unfold if and when it happened. I found a program that listed all the rooms used by various groups. Notably, Bixler Enterprises hadn't reserved any rooms for Wednesday evening, which struck me as odd. Sarah had said she'd stay at the hotel, but now I doubted her statement. The hotel had 3 dining sections: family, casual, and formal. Knowing Sarah's preference for avoiding children at meals, I first searched the casual dining area. It only took 5 minutes to determine she wasn't there. My luck turned when I found a secluded spot in the hotel lounge, a corner often used for private discussions. Sarah looked magnificent, wearing a black evening dress with a plunging neckline, complemented by pearls. Her associate appeared to appreciate her poise, though he wasn't one of Sarah's typical colleagues. He looked somewhat familiar, but I couldn't place where I'd seen him before. With plenty of seating available, I moved easily through the room. The tables were adorned with candles and elegant glass candle holders. I put out my candle, sighing due to the discomfort from my glaucoma, and then ordered my usual chicken meal, settling down for the night. The server and topped up my coffee for the third time. "Excuse me, that man across the room seems very familiar. Do you recognize him?" "Certainly. That's Malcolm Eugene Foote. He's attending the conference and plans to run for Congress soon." "Is that his wife with him?" "She looks lovely." "No, it's the first time I've seen her with him. He always chooses that table for special occasions with ladies. If you understand what I mean." I simply smiled at the server and asked for the bill. I had never seen Sarah so intimately engaged with a man she clung to every word as though he was a god. Their interaction was not overtly inappropriate, yet it was neither strictly platonic nor professional. When I left, they were just finishing their second bottle of wine. Now I realized why she had brought her elegant lingerie. I blended into a corner of the lobby, and 10 minutes later they left the restaurant. She took his hand, and they crossed the lobby to the elevator. I carefully monitored the floor indicators. The elevator stopping on the third floor was hopeful. It meant she hadn't taken him to her room. Yet it was worrisome. When the elevator didn't go up to the 7th floor, it suggested she went to his room. To be certain I hadn't misunderstood anything, I stayed in the lobby, watching the elevator for another hour. People entered and exited, but Sarah was not among them. I retrieved my empty suitcase from the car and went to the front desk. Although I could identify myself as her husband, getting a key card was difficult. They finally gave in after making a call to the room, but nobody responded. At last I headed to room 714 with the key card. Initially, I didn't even turn on the lights. I simply sat in the dark room for over an hour. Making sure she wouldn't return to the room first was not hard. I gathered all her clothes and personal items. I left nothing. I checked the medicine container. It still had 10 tablets inside on the dresser. Everything she needed for her presentation the next day was neatly arranged. I started packing the suitcase. There were 24 specially bound promotional folders and an additional 20 standard folders. Every one of them was placed inside the suitcase. A digital projector was then packed, succeeded by a laptop. I collected her purse and mobile phone, which she had left behind in the room. She only had a small handbag and presumably a lipstick with her. I navigated the room as carefully as she would have to make sure nothing was missed. Satisfied, I left her car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Beyond these items, the room was entirely empty. The elevator descended straight to the parking garage. Handling 2 suitcases was effortless, and 20 minutes later I was heading north on the expressway. It was already after 3 a.m. I hadn't noticed the time passing. An hour or two. Later, my mobile rang. It showed the prison's number. "John, yes, where are you? I'll be home soon," I responded. Silence followed on the other end. There's a well-known adage among salespeople: whoever speaks first loses. It seemed an eternity until she finally said, "John, I'm sorry." She asked no more and simply disconnected. I switched off my phone. Evidently, she had gone back to her room. Later that day, she would give a presentation that might save her company and secure her a promotion. I put the suitcases in the garage attic. Sarah never went there and never considered looking there. By that time, I was quite sure it didn't matter anymore. At first, I packed all my clothes and personal belongings. Most men have their own equipment, often part of their profession. I went to the store, loaded my belongings into the Subaru, and collected my last paycheck. With the banks open, I withdrew all my funds from my accounts. Then I had lunch in Hagerstown, Maryland. Although I had enough money to sustain myself for a few years, I realized I would soon need to seek employment. Sarah and I both valued our careers, and I would miss her in this new chapter of my life. I spent several hours at Luray Caves and then rented a room near Whiteville. Uncertain of my future steps, it was Thursday, and I found myself at the Chattanooga Aquarium, seeing nature I had never encountered before. I relaxed for a few hours, deciding it was a good place to stay. I bought a yearly pass to the aquarium, and by dinner I had secured a place to live. It was a mobile home in the park, simply furnished and economical. I didn't need much more. By Monday morning I planned to look for work. A skilled handyman can always find employment, especially if he is prepared to work hard. I intended to keep a low profile until it was time to renew my driver's license or vehicle registration. I would handle those when necessary. Sunday afternoon I called Gloria. I felt obligated to update her on the situation, but Sarah had already informed her. She was quite straightforward with Gloria about what happened, confessing her infidelity. I caught her, and as a result, she lost her job. I regretted her job loss, but that was the outcome she faced. I asked Gloria to tell Josh about the situation the next time she spoke with him. I also said I would call monthly to check in. I didn't reveal my whereabouts. By noon the next day, I had found a job conveniently located just a short walk from the trailer park with the Waffle House in between. What more could a man want? I'm not sure how they handled the documentation, but I was making $20 an hour, no questions asked. I was happy, and they were happy I wouldn't even need to use the money I had brought with me. About 2 months later, Gloria informed me that Sarah had moved out and was staying with her parents. Gloria didn't have further details but was pleased that I was settled and doing well. Josh called me from San Diego just to say he was embarking on a journey. He served as an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried to explain his job, but it was too intricate for me. I never fully grasped complex topics. Both were careful not to speak ill of their mother. I appreciated that. Afterwards, it became the norm. I started talking to Gloria at least once a week. Josh and I started emailing frequently. Gloria often talked to Sarah but disclosed very little about what she was doing or where she was. I hadn't initiated a divorce, and it seemed Sarah hadn't either. I hold a Tennessee driver's license and the plates on the Subaru. I began frequenting one of the local bars a few times a month, and even attracted 2 women who took turns being my regular evening friends. They weren't looking for a commitment, and neither was I. It suited us all. Life was enjoyable. That was a long time ago, and I gradually lost touch with Sarah. Eventually, the Subaru started having issues. I had overlooked its age. It had clocked over 200,000 miles. One day, as I was pondering this over a beer, I realized it had been nearly 5 years since I had left home. I kept in close touch with both children. By then, Gloria had 2 children and was eager for me to meet them. Josh nearly married a Thai woman, but he withdrew at the final moment. I typically work 6 days a week and reserve Sunday for recovery from Saturday night. It was unusual for anyone to knock on my trailer door at 6 on a Friday morning. Their rudeness was greeted by a man in boxer shorts at the door. My boxer shorts were unappealing, and the woman's facial expression confirmed this. She averted her gaze, but her companion didn't seem to care. Under normal circumstances, I would have worn pants, but such visits annoyed me. They were searching for John Terrell. I don't know you. My name is David Simmons, and this is my wife, Mara. We have a problem and hope you can help us. I apologize, I don't work overnight. If you require car repairs, you must come to the shop. This resulted in a few puzzled looks and finally an answer. This isn't about your job, it concerns a personal matter. May we come in? The interior was untidy. I seldom had guests, so cleaning was infrequent. Even my girlfriends preferred we meet at their places. Please come in, let me just put on some pants. I left the door open as I went to the bedroom, demonstrating my openness as a host. I also put on a shirt. Would you like some coffee? It will be ready in about 10 minutes. I cleared some space on the sofa for them to sit. They didn't reply to the offer for coffee. We have an adopted 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old who needs a bone marrow transplant, and we hope you can assist. We're willing to pay if necessary. Purchase my bone marrow. No, we need to use it, and we're willing to compensate you for the inconvenience. I suppose you mean to buy it. I was being clever. Then it hit me. These individuals were earnest. They had a real issue and needed help. I'm truly sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue. Our best chance for a donor is a close relative. You're our best hope. Listen, I don't mean to joke, but I think you had me confused with someone else. When was your daughter born? She'll be 5 in July, Mara Simmons stated sincerely. I regret to inform you, but I had a vasectomy 15 years ago. I couldn't be her father. Why is your name on the birth certificate? I can't answer that. Perhaps you should ask her mother, they responded with silence. I pitied these individuals, but I was unsure how to help them. What is the mother's name? Sarah Louise Terrell. I was at a loss for words. Perhaps I shouldn't have taken those pills from her. Indeed, then they wouldn't have a daughter at all. I thought I was done with sorrow, but here it is again. Old recollections of my wife with that Philadelphia politician resurfaced. I was starting to put it behind me, and now it has come back. I now realize and apologize for my earlier rudeness and insensitivity. I will do everything I can to help you. Firstly, why can't Sarah get a bone marrow transplant? Medically, she cannot. Why not? She's a mother. She needs to be an appropriate donor. She qualifies as a donor, yet she's too sick. The doctors won't even contemplate using her. Sick with what? She's succumbing to liver failure. She has fewer than 6 months to live. This makes no sense. She's always been perfectly healthy. Moreover, I can't see how a failing liver would hinder her from giving bone marrow. The hospital rejects her. Consent form signature. Are you suggesting there's an issue with her mental capacity? They both gazed at me quietly. They knew the truth, but were hesitant to voice it. At that moment, I didn't want to add to their discomfort. 10 minutes earlier, I was indifferent towards them, but now I felt compelled to shield and support them. How did it come to this? Could any of my children assist? Possibly, but we believed you were our best option. Why not pursue your biological father? We assumed it was you. We're clueless about who else it might be. Sarah never disclosed any details about another potential father. In reality, she was too unwell to share anything. Mara added, our main source of information was the adoption agency. I needed to grab some coffee and use the restroom. Pardon me for a moment. I left my guests there while I prepared the coffee. It only took a short while. As it brewed, I took a much-needed morning bathroom break. I kept it low-key. I had embarrassed Mara sufficiently. Where do you reside? Westchester, Pennsylvania. I'll strike a deal with you. If I reveal your daughter's actual father, you must promise to relentlessly pursue him until you achieve your goal. What are you implying? Your daughter's father is a well-known politician in Pennsylvania. He will undoubtedly deny everything and likely furnish legal obstacles to thwart your efforts. If you're determined enough to make him acknowledge the child is his, you can coerce him into agreeing to a bone marrow transplant. That's your objective, correct? Yes, exactly. But how can we manage that? I don't know. I am a mechanic. I deal with metal. I suppose using television, radio, and newspapers might be the most effective. Politicians will do anything to escape negative publicity. Do you know anyone who might assist now? They were both smiling. Clearly, I had offered them some hope. We might be able to pull this off. Who on earth is he? Malcolm Eugene Foote. He's campaigning for the U.S. Senate. I'm certain he'll do anything to avoid scandal. The coffee was ready, but David and Marco were eager to leave. Before they departed, I gave them contact details for Gloria and Josh in case they needed further help. I was confident they would assist. They also informed me of Sarah's location. I would likely arrive in Pensacola before they returned to Westchester. I got a haircut and bought a new shirt. Sarah was unfaithful and had wrecked my life, but I still wanted to present myself well when I met her. It was another trailer, but this one was a new, upscale double-wide. Her Volvo was parked outside with a flat tire and a shattered windshield. The woman who answered the door wasn't Sarah. She appeared as though she had been thoroughly soaked and left to dry. She was around 45, perhaps 50, and seemed to have endured a hard life. Her lack of makeup did her no favors, and she simply looked dreadful. I hadn't even begun to speak when it was apparent it was John Terrell. I hadn't expected to encounter you here. I resorted to the usual excuse, you're putting me at a disadvantage, Sherry Hart. Please. Come in. Darling, can I get you a beer? No, thanks. I'm here to see Sarah. Sherry walked across the room and stopped at the buffet in the dining area. Here she is, John. Take your time. Looking, her finger pointed to a brass ear that sat at the center of the empty buffet. It seems I was too late. I just stood there, staring at the object before me. May I have a beer now? Sarah moved to Pensacola after she gave up her baby for adoption. She bought the trailer with the money she got from Bixler Enterprises following her dismissal. She participated in a profit-sharing scheme, had a 401k, and accumulated vacation and sick time. Eventually, she obtained a role at a nearby clothing manufacturing plant working in the shipping area. It was there she encountered Sherry. Sarah rented a room to Sherry. Sarah spent every cent she earned on drinking. Starting with wine, she increasingly turned to harder, more economical liquors. Ultimately, her alcohol consumption resulted in job loss, forcing her to withdraw from her savings. She avoided dating or social outings. Sherry remained by her side, handling utility payments and purchasing groceries that Sarah ignored. It took her over 3 years to take her own life. Impressively, she had prepared a will, bequeathing to me a double-wide trailer and a Volvo. Sherry revealed that Sarah was so overwhelmed by her own actions that she surrendered completely. She made no effort to prevent the pregnancy, nor did she think about ending it. The adoption was arranged well before the child's birth. She never resumed work, except for the occasional poorly executed job. Sherry noted that Sarah lacked any genuine ambition or motivation. Sarah frequently talked about me but was too frightened to make contact. Though Floria had given her my contact, she never reached out. It seemed her brief affair had hurt her more deeply than it had me. I stayed there for 2 weeks, then sold Sherry's trailer for $1 and sold the Volvo for $1,000. 2 days afterward, I was in Westchester visiting my new acquaintances, David and Marsha. Malcolm Eugene initially resisted, but under pressure from David and Marsha, he yielded. He requested DNA tests, which verified his fatherhood. To preserve his image, he reluctantly agreed to a bone marrow transplant, which proved successful. Malcolm's political and personal reputation suffered. His popularity declined so sharply that his political party replaced him several months prior to the election. His spouse publicly initiated a divorce. Sarah and I are currently traveling to Dallas to visit Gloria and my grandchildren. I'm unsure how long Sarah will remain with me, possibly until I find someone else. I need guidance. Should I continue with him? I recently found out that my boyfriend of around 2 years has been unfaithful. We have discussed marriage and family. We declare our love for one another. We have been together for nearly 3 years, officially almost 2. He has always been kind and thoughtful. One day, out of curiosity, I accessed his phone through mine and discovered 2 women on Snapchat. One woman had received sexual praise and had shared numerous stories, and the other had sent him explicit photos. These messages were recent, sent within the last 2 months. When I confronted him, he confessed to everything and hasn't ceased apologizing. He assures that nothing has occurred since then, acknowledging his error, which is why he ceased. He has since deleted the 2 women from Snapchat and even proposed deleting the app entirely. This situation is particularly painful, as I have been betrayed in past relationships, but I did not anticipate it from him. He continues to profess his love, and currently I am withholding reciprocation. I have told him I do not forgive him yet. He pledges to demonstrate his good character daily if I allow him another chance. We have not encountered serious issues in our relationship, and I genuinely envision marrying this man. He has been consistently supportive and affectionate. This is the only major issue we have faced, but it is significant. Should I stay with him and offer a second chance, or should I depart due to this incident? I value any advice. It's possible that the fault lies partly with me. My former partner was unfaithful during a period of indecision between myself and another. Ultimately, his choice was her, not me. This was our second go at our partnership. Reflecting on our initial attempt, I acknowledge that my behavior may have been detrimental. My contribution to household chores was lacking. I often found myself in a foul mood or complaining. I indulged excessively in shopping due to an addiction, and I neglected my personal upkeep. We were just 3 weeks shy of our wedding day. The thought that I couldn't maintain our relationship for just 3 more weeks to become his spouse is something I struggle to come to terms with. After our initial separation, he began a relationship with her. He discovered the person he truly wanted. Sometimes I think that she would have remained merely a work colleague had I not driven him away in search of joy elsewhere. Indeed, he chose to be unfaithful, but it's hard to shake the feeling that my previous actions set the stage for these events. I've recently cut off all contact with him. He suggests that maintaining our communication and friendship is my decision, while I still long for him. However, he can't have everything his way. He remains in a relationship with her, she has moved in with him, and he has given her a commitment ring. My partner was unfaithful to me via Discord. Hey, so I encountered my partner in 2012 when I was 17 and she's 16. Our connection was instantaneous. We had a profound understanding of each other and shared countless joyful moments. Our relationship commenced on September 16th, 2012. By December of that year, we were cohabitating. We faced some difficulties last year, though nothing too severe. Our mutual understanding persisted. Towards the last quarter of the year, she seemed to be drifting away emotionally, which tormented me for months. It led to my depression. I was listless and melancholic post-work, but she offered no support, claiming ignorance despite my guidance. My affection for her remained strong. Fast forward to January 20th of this year, we spent a weekend at a friend's place, indulging in alcohol and smoking. The following day, I opted for some solitary time at home, while she chose to linger a bit longer, which was fine by me. Back home, I grabbed a bite, turned on her PC, and was on YouTube when a Discord alert caught my attention. Curiosity got the better of me, and upon checking, I discovered messages dating back to September 2012 with a guy on Discord. Their exchanges seemed mundane. She called him attractive a couple of times, which didn't particularly upset me. They didn't communicate frequently, so I brushed it off. However, I grew suspicious about whether she conversed similarly with others, leading me to her blocked contacts list, where I made a shocking discovery. She had been sending explicit images to them. Around 6 in the evening, she sent more than one. Her messaging coincided with times she felt aroused, alone, intoxicated, or high. One exchange was notably intimate. They exchanged explicit photos and videos, praised each other, and talked nearly daily. Though less frequent after a month, she still engaged at least weekly. They shared details of their daily lives, sent morning and evening greetings, and exchanged emotive symbols. She messaged him even during our time together or at my place. This went on for nearly 2 months, with her endearments and calling him her good boy. When confronted, she had no justifications. She admitted regret, wished she could undo it, and likened it to an uncontrollable compulsion. She declared her love for me, her desire to change, and her commitment to prove her progress. Despite my skepticism about a reconciliation, we parted ways on January 22nd. As of yesterday, she's been staying over, as the thought of her absence is unbearable for me. I'm haunted by the prospect of an empty home, devoid of our exchanges, her embrace, and the sound of her voice. She's here because I can't let go, but it's a struggle. The messages she sent to others keep replaying in my mind. I'm at a loss for what action to take. Since our paths crossed, she has been my world. I've invested roughly $5,000 in our relationship. She acknowledges the gravity of her mistake and clings to the hope of us mending things, but I fear that's an outcome that's unlikely to manifest. The thought of existence without her is unbearable. Sense that she's an essential part of my life, yet her deeds have irreversibly altered how I perceive her. The memories of her betrayal linger, but my love for her hasn't waned. I find her charming, funny, and my heart yearns to be with her, but it's just not feasible. Could someone provide me with guidance? I'm in dire need of advice and curious to learn how others might handle a similar predicament. I appreciate your presence in this installment of Tales of Infidelity. If you found this episode compelling, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any of the enthralling stories of love and betrayal. Your engagement means everything to us, and we're eager to bring you more captivating narratives. Until our next encounter, bear in mind that every couple's journey has its own tale to tell. See you in the next one.